we've gotten to such a point of confidence that, I mean, I just look at this box, right?
Yeah.
I'll just turn this box just for you to take a look at.
Okay.
It doesn't say Velvex anywhere.
Yeah.
But the consumer will go to the shelf
And they'll
and say this is Velvex, right?
Yes.
That's the kind of assurance, the kind of brand strength, the kind of confidence we want to give consumers. When they see something, they know this can only be by Velvex because of the experience they've had all the years with our brands and products.
Brand.
Okay, so look, I went to school in Kenya. Okay. I went to Kenton as my primary school and Hillcrest Secondary here before I went off to university in the UK in Wales, Cardiff Business School. That was, and I finished that in 2007. I worked in 2 years. I worked for 2 years in London in management consulting before coming back to join the family business in 2009. Then just to carry on with my education, so I can finish that part, I went to Harvard in 2017. I mean, I've been in the family business since 2009, and the journey at Chandaria Industries and the group has been very interesting. I started out at the bottom of the organization in 2009, literally seeing customers around the country, helping them stack shelves, at the bottom of the organization in the sales department. I grew my way up, and in 2015 I became the CEO. Okay. Followed by that in 2018 I became the group CEO for all our businesses. It's been a very interesting journey, and one that I must say, initially my dad put me at the bottom of the organization in very remote parts of the country. I mean, often places you couldn't even find something to eat at lunchtime, you know, dusty, hot. And initially I was not so happy about it, right? I'm here, I am with a degree, you know, coming back to the country with all this knowledge, but and he always told me you'll appreciate this in later years, and I really do, because I understand the organization inside out now. You start at the bottom, you start, you know, with your customers, you start to understand the pain points they have. That small supermarket, you know, in the middle of somewhere up country, that small wholesaler, you know, in the middle of nowhere, like you really understand the pain points, you understand what the consumers are looking for, you understand what their customers are looking for. So that was an amazing journey. I didn't understand it for the first 2 years, I must admit, but looking back, I wouldn't do it differently for my kids. Yeah.
From your perspective, what's the Kenyan consumer story? Because the one thing we believe, even as FMCG awards, is FMCG products have access to our homes. You wake up in the morning, they're the first things you're interacting with, especially your products. Yes. And I'm sure men will agree with that when we spend those 2 hours, 1 hour on that seat. Yes. So having that kind of access into people's homes, into people's cars, I bet you there's a Velvex in my car right now. Yes. What kind of perspective does it give you when it comes to the Kenyan consumer?
So let me start by saying that we are in a very, as you have correctly said, we are in a very unique position. We are actually the first consumer product. Toilet tissue is the first product that many people use and encounter, you know, first thing in the morning, right? So I like to say that when those who are users of Chandaria Industries brands start right in the morning, right? Because it's the you get the right experience, it sets the tone for the day. You're absolutely right. Look, I mean, you know, we have always focused on the washroom, on the kitchen, and now we are going beyond. You know, we have gone into liquids, we have gone into aluminium foil, cling film, cotton wool, apart from, you know, all the tissue categories we do. It gives us a very interesting insight into how we can plug in to more of the consumer's day. Okay, so you wake up, you have us for, you know, hygiene needs, you have us for hand washing needs, you have us for, you know, food requirements with our foil and cling film, medical requirements with the cotton wool, and cosmetic requirements, right? So when we look at our basket of products and we're saying to ourselves, how can we plug in, right, to more of the consumer's day? And that is really what we are doing. You know, we are becoming a consumer products platform. We've been all about personal hygiene all these years, and now we're pivoting into other categories, which will be very interesting. What we are very good at is building brands, distributing those brands around the country, whether it's to modern trade, whether it's to general trade, whether it's to HoReCa. We have got a small foods division now also, where we are supplying you know, packaged sugar, salt, pepper, chili flakes, etc., you know, to the hotels, restaurants, in sachet forms. So we see that as capturing more of the customer's basket, because that's what their customers and our consumers want, right? They want a company that is producing good quality products to expand the portfolio. You know, we are also super brands. We are only the second company in East African history to have super brands as a company. Mostly you'll see super brands is awarded to brands.
Yes.
We were awarded super brands for Chandaria Industries. That means everything we do at Chandaria Industries is a super brand. So I think, you know, we've built a tremendous amount of confidence with the customer and the consumer. Therefore, anything we launch, I think, you know, is met with confidence, is met with the potential to try, and we want to definitely look at more categories.
Okay. Combining that understanding of what the company is and what it's doing for the consumer, and like you said, being stationed in remote areas of the country, where do you see those two merging? Because as a consumer, in most cases, I'm not thinking of Chandaria as the company. When I'm picking your tissue, it's because I've seen it, I've used it, I like it.
Correct.
So where would you say is the junction between those two areas?
Between the company and the brands?
Yeah, between the understanding of what your company promises and what, like the experience you saw in remote areas of the country, and understanding how the Kenyan consumer behaves.
It's a very interesting question, and one that we've asked ourselves in our strategic goals throughout, okay? I think today it's fair to say Chandaria Industries has also become a brand, okay? Yes. And people also understand the philosophy behind what Chandaria Industries stands for. We have some very key core values, okay? Yeah. We are always looking for mutual growth. We don't want to grow at the expense of any of our stakeholders, whether it's our customers, our consumers, our employees, our local communities, the government, the banks, you know, our suppliers, anybody we work with, okay? Yeah. That's the first philosophy. The second philosophy is we are very environmentally sustainable. Okay. Everything we do is always, you know, with tremendous care for the environment. As you know, we are the largest recyclers of paper waste in Kenya, East and Central Africa. Yes. And that's been a very conscious decision to make sure that our carbon footprint is as minimal as possible. I think the second part of what we stand for is obviously developing the communities in which we work, okay? We have a number of CSR initiatives. The flagship one is, you know, opposite here, Chandaria Primary School, which is named after my father, who's our chairman. Yeah. We support over 1,500 students every day at this school, okay? It was built from scratch by us. And I think we are communicating as Chandaria Industries as well to say, look, this is what we stand for. Now, an offshoot of that is the brands we create. Okay, so when you see it's manufactured by Chandaria Industries. So for example, our brand for foods, which is the newest brand in our portfolio, is Only. Okay, very different to the big brands of Velvex, Rosie, Toilex that the market knows. But when you see Only manufactured by Chandaria Industries, it should immediately, in the mind of the consumer, signify and relate to a story of Chandaria Industries. That is really what we are trying to communicate. Now, not only are there inherent values of support towards our stakeholders, like I've just talked about, but there is also a very strong quality system, quality, you know, processes internally, right? We are ISO certified. Okay. We benchmark our standards not only with local or regional or African standards, with international standards, right? We have testing equipment across all the product categories we make that are from overseas, like, you know, European technology, and we benchmark with the standards around the world. So we are constantly trying to say to the consumer, look, when we give you, for example, this box of tissue, it is not just a box of tissue that is Velvex, it is not just a box of tissue that is Chandaria Industries, it is a box of tissue that meets global standards. Yeah.
And what gives you that audacity? I know you went to school, you studied, it's a family business, but what makes you say, we are the best to do it, and we are the people we should trust with this thing?
So I think it's not just about saying, I think you can see that by, you know, through our market leadership position in the market, okay? Yeah. Through all the categories we go into, you will always find there's something different about a Chandaria Industries product, okay? Okay. Whether it's the quality of the product, whether it's the packaging, whether it is the way it is sold, whether it is changing. Like, so for example, I'll give you just a quick analysis on hand wash, okay? A fairly new category that became quite prominent after COVID, right? Okay. The market was always using fragrances that were sourced either locally or sourced from, let me call them low-cost sources, okay? Nobody really came to the market, apart from the international brands, which are priced well above locally manufactured products, okay? Nobody came to the market and said, why can we not use the best international fragrances, the best international raw materials, okay, to produce a product in Kenya and price it competitively, okay? We changed that synopsis, okay? And we are becoming very strong in the categories. For example, in the liquid categories, hand wash is just an example. You know, we make sanitizer, we make multi-purpose detergent, dishwashing, and we are seeing those results, right? When consumers try our product, it's an added benefit that it's Velvex and Chandaria Industries, but when you actually use the product, we want consumers to feel the difference, to say, okay, yes, this is something that's not been in the market at this quality, at this price point.
Okay. Earlier on, you mentioned Chandaria being a sustainable company.
Correct.
And being intentional about the way you carry out your business practices. Looking at the three pillars of sustainability, environment, social, and governance. Because again, as the FMCG awards, we are stakeholder facing. As the consumers, we're trying to understand these brands that have access to us, how are they made?
Correct.
What else are they doing besides just selling me the product?
Correct.
How do they involve me in how these products are designed and even communicated to us?
Correct.
Because how you communicate your brands also speaks to if I can trust my kid watching your advert, for example. It's in the simple things. But focusing on these three pillars. In the social space you've mentioned, you have schools, a school that you set up in the honor of your dad. When it comes to the social aspect, or on the environment aspect of it, what are you doing in that space?
So we are the biggest recyclers of paper waste, okay, in East and Central Africa. Now, over the years, that's been a very conscious decision. We could have actually used pulp, which comes from trees.
Yeah.
If we looked at only the financial aspects of the business, there would have been many better ways if we were purely focused on profit, okay, to run the business.
Okay.
We have, over the last 10 years, not even processed 1 kilo of pulp here.
Okay.
We have optimized our systems. We have invested in technology and machinery that makes sure we can continue to recycle different grades of paper. Okay, we do not want to go into pulping at all. That's a very strong philosophy of the business. Okay. In terms of also the other inputs in the business, you'll find a lot of our packaging is eco-friendly.
Okay.
It's disposable, easily disposable. We spend more. I mean, it costs a lot more to create that kind of packaging. I sit personally on the board of WWF.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm taking a lot of learnings there about environmental sustainability, about conservation, etc., to our businesses as well, to say how can we continue to improve. I mean, any paper you see at Chandaria Industries, whether it's packaging, the paper we write on, anything is recyclable 100%, and we do recycle it.
Okay.
So we've got a very strong philosophy of how we can basically reuse, reduce, recycle. Okay, and it's a cycle that we've followed for many, many years. In everything we do, even when you look at things and inputs like our inks, in our products, any chemicals that are used in the process, those have a very, very strong environmentally sustainable footprint.
Okay. A company like yours, even when I was coming in, I was like, these are so many people.
Yes.
And that kind of throws us in the governance perspective.
Correct.
How do you take care of your people? And how does that translate into the products you put out in the market?
Correct. So I always say a business is only as good as its people.
Yeah.
Okay. And the first stakeholder of any business is your employees and your team.
Yeah.
Okay. Today we have professionalized the business such that we are playing very much actively a shareholder's role.
Okay.
And my role personally, that of my father and my brother, are really more guidance, mentorship,
Okay.
and enabling people to be themselves, be the best of themselves,
Yeah.
and grow into whatever it is that they aspire to. Okay, we have a very large team at Chandaria Industries. We have a very large team across our East African operations. We are one of the largest employers in East Africa. We take pride in building teams that are highly motivated, that are able to nurture and develop the best of themselves.
Yeah.
And that translates into the performance of the business. And as you correctly said, the outcome that consumers see of our products, right?
Yeah.
You can only produce world-class products when your team is fully aligned. And that's not just your production team. That's not just the sales team who's actually taking products to the market, right? It starts right from your research and development, your new product development, engineering the product to what it is you want, working with partners on the equipment, working with a variety of stakeholders on all the inputs, right? Packaging, raw materials, and then finally finishing the product to something that a consumer would really appreciate and want and need in their day-to-day lives, and then communicating it correctly in terms of its benefits, in terms of its functional purposes and uses from a sales and marketing perspective.
Okay. In the inaugural FMCG Consumer Awards, one of your brands, Velvex, won the Tissue Brand of the Year. Yes. What does that do to you as a company?
So Velvex has been our flagship brand, okay? It has been the company's premium flagship brand, which has cut across all our categories. If you look across toilet tissue, serviettes, kitchen towels, hand towels, pocket tissue, facial tissue, you look across foil, cling film, aluminium foil, liquids, Velvex cuts across, okay? It has been a very strong brand, appreciated by consumers. We have been the market leader with Velvex in so many categories for such a long period of time that it really has become an asset to us. Okay, we continue to use that as a very strong foundation to propel quality, innovation, new product categories, and we're very proud of it. Okay, it really is a very integral part of Chandaria Industries. Now, that's on the premium end. We also have Rosie, which is very strong, very well known. We're also using Rosie now to cut across multiple categories. We've been doing quite a lot of activity, quite a lot of work on making sure not only is the brand prominent, but the products that accompany Rosie, which are slightly better priced, obviously than Velvex, but gives the consumer the same sense of quality, the same sense of aspirational feeling. And I think, brand creation is something we've been very strong at over the years, very strong at positioning brands that consumers can actually relate to and say, this is a brand I want to be associated with. Okay.
And now the winning, is it like an affirmation that it's stronger? Like, is it something you expect, or is there some kind of appreciation of saying, okay, we are right all along? And maybe Alex will come in at this point, because data also plays a very big part in you understanding what the market is saying about you.
So we've gotten to such a point of confidence that, I just look at this box, right? I'll just turn this box just for you to take a look at. It doesn't say Velvex anywhere. But the consumer will go to the shelf and say this is Velvex, right? That's the kind of assurance, the kind of brand strength, the kind of confidence we want to give consumers. When they see something, they know this can only be by Velvex because of the experience they've had all the years with our brands and products.
Okay. And how does data play into now the decisions you make as a company?
Data is very powerful. There's a lot of data today, okay? I think data is a buzzword, and in itself, it cannot be effective. I think it's how you use the data to create meaningful insights, to make business decisions that give you a competitive advantage, okay? Now, it can be analyzed in so many different ways, and different companies and different people will analyze data from a different lens for the purpose they want. But I always say, look, what is our objective, right? The objective is always to understand the consumer and the customer, okay? So we look at products, we look at channels, we look at geographical performance of the data. We then use that to make meaningful insights to say, for example, a brand, so I'll just give an example. Rosie in the general trade channel in Western Kenya is doing very well. How can we now use that to understand why is it that it has an appeal in general trade in Western Kenya, and how can we then use that as a case study to, for example, make it more popular in Central Kenya? Just a simple insight, right? And you can see there's many insights like this that you would use data for to try and give you a competitive advantage. But it's all about, you must set out the objective of using the data, and then you can set the steps in as to how you analyze it and how you use it.
All right. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions about data, just to understand your past, present, and future strategy as a company, right? So as part of an ongoing series, we're asking brands innovative brands that have been a household name for generations like Chandaria. How has your company managed to stay relevant? What kind of data have you used in the past to adapt to changing consumer tastes over the years?
So, like I mentioned, generally we have three facets. Okay, so we like to understand data from a product perspective, from a category perspective, and that's one bucket. We like to understand channel, and we like to understand geography, and then obviously from those three major buckets of data, we analyze and create trends. Going into the future, and I'm just talking, this is obviously from a sales commercial perspective. We obviously have data that we use to drive our manufacturing supply chain processes, and that has continued. Going into the future, I think there will be a lot more detailing to that data, whether you start looking at an SKU specific performance with a specific customer in a specific geographical location. But we will also start using data more across the manufacturing areas of the business. Okay, why is data important today to move into a smart factory concept? Why is it important to, for example, I'll just give you one insight that we look at, very critical for implementing and following proactive maintenance as opposed to reactive maintenance. Okay, we all know for factories running time is very important. Downtime means financial losses and other implications which could lead to, for example, stock problems in the market, etc. So I think there's a whole bunch of areas. We are also looking at data to understand consumer behavior, to look at stakeholder behavior, right? How do employees react to different environments, different challenges? And once you have that, you can create very good performance indicators for all your stakeholders.
Present or reflecting on your data journey, has there been a moment where the company underwent a financial loss or a huge setback just because you didn't have the right information?
So I think information is always available. It's the tools that you have to capture it. I definitely feel that we could have made better decisions, and I think decisions that would have led to a better financial income had we looked at the data differently in the past. Okay, or I think also the other issue that is not spoken about, but I think it's a very important issue when it comes to data, is how you interpret it. If I show you a data set, you may have a very different interpretation and outcome of processing that I may have. So I think it's also getting the right people who are trained, who understand, okay, this is the data set and this is what we are looking for. So I think in the past what we have seen is a different perspective on the data from people in different departments, which is okay, which we like that, because we like people to sit in meetings to challenge what they see and challenge each other. But I think to your question, I think what we could have done was we could have looked at the data probably earlier and got on to some trends that would have led to financial results much quicker. So I think looking at that data and understanding that this is what it's telling us came maybe, for in certain instances, a bit later in the organization, in the history, yeah.
And then finally, we have a new kind of Kenyan consumer, the
Yes.
Generation Z. And their tastes are totally different to the boomers or the millennials. So what role do you see data playing in you capturing that new generation?
So I think it helps that maybe the leadership of this company, maybe talking about myself here, are not too disconnected, right, to that generation. But I understand, because I myself as a consumer am very particular to understand the story behind the brand and the company. Okay, it's not just, okay, I like it, I've used it, it looks good, functionally it performs well. I think you want to connect from a more meaningful perspective, and I think we're seeing this. Okay, and what are we doing to be in line with that trend? I think it's all about what the company stands for, as I was saying earlier. Okay, what are the core values behind the company? Who are the people at the company? And obviously the product, price, functionality is very important. But look, we are very proud here today to say that 50% of our management team is in that age range or very close to that age range. Okay, we have brought in a young team that sees trends, that is very savvy with technology, very savvy with digital and social media content, okay? Very savvy with the lifestyle of our consumers. So we see our team, we see how they live, we understand what they do, okay? And they themselves come here to work every day to say, look, we are serving this consumer as well. We have a very good mix of experience. I'd like to call, that team, the older team, with the wisdom, with the guidance, to guide a younger team who understands the consumer very well. So we have internally ourselves, our team, we have the full spectrum of consumers, within. So we get very, very good insights from our team. Often companies go out to do consumer focus groups, which is okay. You obviously need a subsect of the actual market, but we have found a very effective source in using our internal team as a focus group to get ideas, to get information, to get insights into our products.